Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hello and welcome to the show. It is go time, folks. Kirk Windstein on the podcast. Finally got him back. He's got the new album, Ethereal Waves, coming out. If you are watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell. I promise you it's going to be worth it, and you're seeing some of the pre-order items that are going to be available with the Ethereal Waves CD and vinyl over at martyrstore.net. And Kirk will be appearing at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. He's going to be playing with Down Friday, May 16th. Get your tickets before they're gone, and then he'll be signing as well on Saturday, May 17th. So use the code SACRED25 over at martyrstore.net for this weekend only. SACRED25 over at martyrstore.net. Use the code before the sale ends, Buster. The Jasta Show is presented by Sumerian Records. Big thanks to the crew over at Sumerian. No coupon code needed when you go to SumerianRecords.com. You'll see all you got to do is put in your email address at SumerianRecords.com, and you will see the pre-order is live for the new Slaughter to Prevail. Grizzly is coming out July 18th, 2025, and you can pre-order now. Let's hear a little snippet of the new Slaughter to Prevail. That shit is banging, son. Go check out the Black Ice and Red Triple vinyl. Also, there's a picture disc, and you'll see when you're over at SumerianRecords.com, you can get vinyl from Animals as Leaders, Oceano, my boy Shavo, and Morgoth, who's going to be on the show. Their group, 7 Hours After Violet. It's all over there at SumerianRecords.com. Big thanks to Sumerian Records, who are presenting our, not only the Jasta Show podcast, but our main stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest from Thursday the 15th through Sunday the 18th of May. And we have a message from one of our main stage performers right now. Check it out. This is Devin Townsend.
My friends, hello. It is Devin Townsend. It's a pleasure to be in your acquaintance. In 2 weeks, I start a tour in America. This video acts as me announcing that I'm going to stop touring for a while after this American tour coming up starting next month. If you're in America and you want to have the opportunity to see me or meet me or participate in the work that I do in a live front, this upcoming tour will be the last time you get a chance to see me for quite some time. My friends, it's a pleasure to play for you. It's a pleasure to be in your life. And thank you for being in mine. My name's Devin Townsend. Let's do this.
So there you have it, right from Heavy Devy's mouth. This is the last tour for a long time, for an indefinite period of time, and we love you, Devin, and thank you for all that you do, and thank you for giving us a chance to give you a great send-off at Milwaukee Metal Fest. We can't wait to have you. Everybody go get your tickets at therave.com/metalfest. Now, we got to tell you about our newest sponsor, Blue Grape Music. I freaking love these guys. They are not only supporting the Milwaukee Metal Fest, but they have a huge new signing that we're about to announce right here on the show, and they're going to be on the podcast as well, and they might be playing at Milwaukee Metal Fest as well, and they might be on a tour coming up. But anyways, we will get to that soon. I want to let everybody know that you can go to bluegrapemusic.com after the podcast today. Check out bands like Gridiron, who are going to be on the Summer Slaughter tour with us, bands like Heavy Hitter, who are just killing it right now, and a bunch of other great artists on the label. And like I said, that new signing that they're going to be announced very soon. So right now, they are offering Jasta Show listeners 20% off when you go to their store over at bluegrapemusic.com and use the code MMF25. That's MMF25 over at bluegrapemusic.com. Big thanks to Blue Grape Music, and make sure you check out Gridiron on the Summer Slaughter Tour. That's right, Hatebreed, Bleeding Through, Fugitive, Malevolence, Gridiron, Escuela Grind, Snuffed on Sight, and INCITE on a bunch of dates as well. And some other bands that are going to be on, I think Rochester, we're going to do 2 stages. We're going to do 2 stages in Milwaukee, I think San Antonio, and then maybe one other one. It's either, I want to say it's either, I think it's Grand Rapids. So hit us up if you're a local band or you're a regional band, or you just want to suggest somebody who you think deserves a slot on the Summer Slaughter side stage at those 4 shows. Hit us up at justashow@gmail. Make sure you get your tickets Friday, May 2nd, 10 a.m. East Coast time. And listen, this is just the beginning, all right? There's going to be probably a second leg, probably Australia, UK, South America. We're really psyched to be teaming up with Sumerian Records and Blue Grape Music and the great and powerful Reigning Phoenix Music. Not only have they amazing signings like Meshuggah and Kerry King, who was just on fucking WrestleMania. I mean, how incredible is that? They got the new INCITE coming out August 25th. The album is called Savage New Times, and right now Jasta Show listeners will save 10% off their pre-order when they go to reigningphoenixmusic.com. The link will be in the show notes. Put in that code when you get to checkout. Put in that code JASTA10 and save yourself 10% off all the vinyl, all the merch, everything over there at Reigning Phoenix Music. Big thanks to Reigning Phoenix Music. Last but certainly not least, thank you so much to Copycats Media. That is where we pressed the Hatebreed Perseverance vinyl, which you can get for pre-order now over at martyrstore.net. You would have heard about it sooner if you were subscribed over at patreon.com/Jasta. But those folks got the pre-order link before everybody else, but there's still some available, but probably not for much longer, maybe not even after this weekend. So head on over to martyrstore.net, and big thanks to Copycats Media. If you're in a band, if you're a label, if you're a distro or whatever, you want to make CDs, you want to make vinyl, Copycats Media is the place to go. Made in America Buster. We love them, and they will be presenting the bar stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest alongside Reigning Phoenix Music. So can't thank them enough. We got the one and only Kirk Windstein from Crowbar, from Down, from Kingdom of Sorrow with yours truly. I mean, the guy is just one of my oldest, bestest friends. I love him so much. He's a treasure. He's a national treasure. He's an international treasure. He's a riff beast. He's a maniac, and I just love him so much, and I think you're going to enjoy today's show.
My friend, the lead singer of Hatebreed, the infamous and notorious Jamey Jasta is in the building. That's what's up.
Jamey Jasta from the metal band Hatebreed. That guy's famous.
Coffee, death metal, and push-ups.
That's Jamey Jasta. Remember Jamey Jasta? You know him. He's a podcaster, but he's a metal man.
I would say delete that.
That shit is hard.
Your host, Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed.
And we're live.
Yes, welcome to the show. We have the soldier of Saxony, the riff beast, the Lord, the master himself, the raging Cajun, Mr. Kirk Michael Windstein. Kirk, welcome back to the show. Finally.
Thank you, brother. It's been a little while.
I wanted to text you and say, hey, get a brush and let's have a beard brush off right out of the gate. What kind of brush? What kind of brush do you use?
Let me see.
And are you
a Conair.
are using product? What kind of product? Everybody always wants to know. They ask me.
When I do, because I'm lazy about it, I normally just use regular shampoo and conditioner. But there's a company called Live Bearded that Dwayne turned me on to, even though he's got a really short beard, and it's pretty freaking good.
What is it called?
Live Bearded.
Live Bearded. Shout out to Dwayne, by the way.
Yeah, he's doing great, man.
Talk about how you linked up with Dwayne and OCD Recordings. I loved going there way back when we were working on the Kingdom, and you were working on I think you were working on either Symmetry or
Probably. I think it was Serpent, maybe.
Serpent. Yeah, the Serpent Only Lies. But you, I guess at some point you figured Dwayne is going to do my solo records with me, and Dwayne is going to do other stuff with you, and you guys bonded. And how did that, like, do you remember how you met?
I can't say I remember how we met, because that's like probably over 15 years ago now. But because we recorded Sever the Wicked Hand, which was the first thing we worked with Dwayne on. He just came like super highly recommended, and we met, went and checked out the studio, and the price was really good, and heard some of the stuff he did. Like a lot of guys I knew had worked with him. So, I mean, over the last, since we worked together 15 years ago or whatever, he's really like one of my best friends now, and been like even doing like the Sun Don't Shine stuff. He got really tight with Kenny. I mean, they talk all the time, like regularly, and he's a hard dude not to like, but he's really gotten incredible, in the studio too. He just upgraded a whole bunch of gear and stuff too. So
yeah, he's amazing. And seriously, everybody go get Ethereal Waves. You can pre-order it now over at martyrstore.net. It's Kirk's new solo album's coming out. I think it's June 27th. Right now we're looking good. It might be the following week, depending on when this airs and when the vinyl gets the test pressings get approved.
Gotcha.
But you're a very busy man, and people are super excited for not only your second solo album, but obviously the new Down, which you're basically smack dab in the middle of.
Yeah, I mean, all the drum tracks are done, and basically the bass tracks as well. So I'm going to check out this company out of New Orleans, this amp company called Sonic Tone Wednesday. Excuse me. I'm going over to the Lair tomorrow to pick up some guitars and some gear that I left after the drum. We did the scratch tracks for the drums, and then Wednesday I'm going to check out these amps because they come highly recommended by Dwayne and Vinny LaBella and a couple other bands down here that kind of do more classic rock, stuff, and they're looking for more of a 70s tone, like rock and roll on the verge of metal, but nothing really modern, So,
what are the amps called? Do you know?
They're called Sonic Tone.
Cool. So and are you going to try the old Randalls and the Ampeg solid state like Jimmy uses, which I love that one. What's that one?
Dude, if the Ampeg solid state is an amazing amp. If they still made them, but my tone has changed so much, and especially with Down. But in all honesty, I hate to say it, and I'm not getting rid of the 9 Randall RG100 ESs that I have, but they're shot. They're hot but shot. Dude, there's some of them, they started making them, I believe, in 1985. So some of them are literally 40 years old. Wow. I mean, it can only take, and the lasting, the durability is amazing. It's just, I guess my ears changed a lot as well. And, lately, like with Crowbar, I've been using the Quad Cortex and the Kemper and shit like that. I mean, everybody seems to be using it. We just toured with Danzig and Tommy Victor had, to me, an amazing tone with the Kemper. And, even with Napalm Death, I mean, Johnny Cookie, they call him John Cook, the guitar player. He had a Kemper, and his tone was great. I went out front at sound check, quite a few days, and and checked it out, man. But so I mean, with Crowbar right now, that's kind of what I'm using. But down, we need more. We still need amps and shit, you know. So got plenty of cabinets, but I'm gonna go check these things out, and if they're really good, I told the guy, I said, you know, if we can work out, I said, look, man, I don't expect you to lose one nickel, but then again, you know, I can give you if Down are using these amps because if I like them and get them, Pepper's probably gonna do the same, and that'll kind of be like our Down amplifier. So hopefully, you know, I mean, I haven't heard it myself yet, but it's basically like the one I'm interested in is called the British 81, which is, I believe, the year they started making the JCM 800, which is my favorite Marshall amp. It's basically like hot rodded Marshalls, and they're hand built like in his home workshop. So you know, it's based around that. It's the same, like, you know, idea basically. So hopefully they sound killer. I'm excited about checking it out.
You're sure you don't want like the old fuzzy crate or what was the my buddy?
Well, I got the fuzzy Randalls, but I used them on this on the Danzig thing. I mean, they still sound good. It's just even though they're solid state, it's weird. They're just, I don't know. I think my ear, like I said, when I switched over to the Kemper, I fell in love with it immediately. And then when we did, what is it? Is it Decibel? It does a Metal and Beer Fest.
Yeah.
Okay, when we did the one last year with Biohazard, we went on right before Bio, so we sound checked in the morning after their sound check, and Billy comes walking over. So everybody's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Saying hello to everyone, and he goes, "Oh, bro, you using the Kemper?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Come check this out," and he had the Quad Cortex. It's the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and he said, we were on tour with Megadeth, and my Kemper was kind of going down and giving me problems. And Mustaine turned him on to the Quad Cortex. And dude, I'm so non-technical that, like, you know, I just go through. I had Dwayne go through it for me, and I chose a Bogner Uberschall, which is an amp I used. But it's basically what it is. They can't call it that, but you know that's what I use. So when I got it all, like I got tape on everything, like where to plug in, what buttons to press, like literally I'm like a little kid or something, you know. I'm so untechnical, it's pathetic with all this new shit. But I mean, the technology of what you can do with this stuff is amazing. And when you A/B it, like I tell people all the time, listen with your ears, not your eyes. You know, and that's why, I mean, ran into a year or two ago, ran into Alex Skolnick at de Gaulle Airport in Paris, and he's rolling. I said, "You Kemper?" And he goes, "Yeah, man." I said, "Yeah, just got one. You know, I love it." And he said, "Oh, me too," especially for traveling and stuff. You know, for like fly dates or just in general. I think what sold me on it was literally when we did the Jasta and Friends in Orlando. Whatever I had for my back line, some kind of Marshall model I'd never even really heard of, just was horrible. And Dino had the Kemper, and Joey, what is it, Concepcion or whatever,
Yep.
Joe C, he had the Kemper, and I'm like, Jesus, their tones are amazing, and mine sounds like ass, you know. And the same thing, it happened then, but I think that was in 2022. And it had just happened with Down in Europe. We did Copenhagen, Grass Pop, and Hellfest, and I just couldn't get a good tone out of like the rented backline stuff. And I'm like, and they're all like, yeah, you know, everybody I started talking to was like, man, just you know, get one of these, dude. It's so simple, you know, for flying and everything. It's consistent every night. When you get to Europe, it automatically changes voltage for you and all that shit anywhere in the world. It's really, really simple.
Yeah, I used to want one of those. I think it's the Stealth GT 100. I'm trying to find it right now. It was like, you're right though about the fuzzy Randall, but this is, I just found one. It's on reverb.com. Oh, it's sold $349. The fuzzy crate Stealth
Oh, the crate is 349.
Yeah, 100-watt EL34 amp, free shipping. But why not? Like, why not go with orange, or why not go with what was the other one that I Hate God used? Didn't the other guitar player, he wasn't using Ampeg. He was using,
Brian, even like he plays with, he's a Soul and Green guitars.
yes.
So, and occasionally, like, they'll have Brian join back with I Hate God to do like an album or something, like in its entirety. And Brian will do, but he's got one of the Ampegs. Jimmy's got one. But I mean, me and Jimmy are like night and day when it comes to what we're looking for out of guitar tones. Like, I want my tone to be, more metal, and he just wants volume and noise.
Discharge.
Exactly. Just more of a, it's more the attitude of the whole thing than the actual tone. Like I told him, I'm like, dude, you could use any guitar and any amp, and it would sound like you, because everything's just like gassed on 10. It's like, but I mean, that's I Hate God. That's that sound.
And a lot of it's your hands, both you and you.
Dude,
God
it's
broke.
absolutely. I'm learning that more and more and more, jumping from amp to amp to amp. I'm like, it's just, I sound like me through a fucking Fender practice amp. It doesn't matter. Like,
Remember
people
the
say
Gorilla?
that all the time. What's that?
Did you ever have a Gorilla? I loved the distortion on the little Gorilla.
No, I have this Fender Mustang thing. Actually, it's over at Phillips right now at the Lair. But I got to meet old Eddie Muscles Map tomorrow over there. He's flying in today. And then I think Pantera's back out. I think they play again Friday with Metallica or something.
Yeah.
But,
do you remember what amps you tried and what you landed on for Down NOLA? Do you remember the setup you had?
Yeah. I used a Marshall JCM 800 with like a Boss super distortion or whatever in front, and like an MXR EQ, I think. And I think Pepper used a Saldano like 212, and it ran, but I think he bypassed the 212 and ran it in, like, just used the circuitry and ran it into a Marshall 412.
Really?
And that was his tone. Yeah. So we used Marshall. I know it was Saldano Pepper used.
And on Down 2, did you use the rig that you took out on Ozfest?
No, we used everything. We used Marshall. We used a prototype crank that weighed, it was like a little bitty thing that weighed like 200 pounds. This is before, this is back in 2001 we recorded it. So Warren Riker, the producer, had one for like studio work and shit, but it wasn't really like I guess a retail thing yet, really,
Right.
So we used Marshall, we used that little crank, we used Randall's, we had a fuckload of stuff, So
was it the Rev 1?
What, the crank?
Yeah.
Dude, it didn't even have a name. It was literally like a foot, like, it was like 12 by 8 by 6 inches deep or something, weighed like 100 pounds.
Wow. So, but it wasn't like a dime Frankenstein. That would be crazy if you guys used that.
This is like well before that, Well, like, that crank amp sounded pretty badass, and it was loud as fuck. It really was. But see, like Shane, my guitar player, my bass player for Crowbar. That's how much I got going on. I can't even. But anyway, Bauer just texted me. But yeah, Shane loves the crank, and I'm like, I could never really get a tone out of it. Like, I mean, dime, once again, it's your hands, and I guess when he switched over to crank with everything else that he used in his rack and all that kind of stuff, and with his tone being like Phil would say, dude, I would say, Dom, I have an idea, and he grabbed Dom's guitar and he goes, I'd show him an idea before Dom would take it over and kind of redo it, And he goes, I would play it, and he goes, it sounded terrible. And he goes, I handed it back to him, and it was like the heavens opened up, you know. I mean, that's just how it works. But it really is. The older I get, and the more I play, the more I try different shit, the more I play other people's gear and stuff. It's in your hands. I mean, it's in your hands. You can't. If I put Randall up there and hid what I'm really using behind the shit, and a lot of people do that, you know. Everybody just, oh, he's using those Randall sound great, dude. And I'm like, wow, it was a fucking quad cortex, or it was a Kemper, it was a Marshall. It doesn't matter, you know. It really doesn't.
Right. No, you're right. I always wondered what happened to that crank company, because they had a pedal come out maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I saw someone using it somewhere, and I thought, oh, I wonder if the pedal is based off of the Krankenstein, or if it's based off of one of those earlier amps, like the Rev, or they had another one. I forget what it was called. It was like Dirty Valve or something, or Chadwick, maybe. It was. I'll have to look it up.
I've heard of that. But
I think
the weird, like with a lot of these things too now are like you can basically take the EQ section of it, which is in a pedal of an amp, and then just power it. Like with my quad cortex, I use the Seymour Duncan Power Source 700 that everybody seems to be using. Like we did a show in Braunschweig or something, and they were just on this one show. It was this past summer, or last summer, was when we did the shows with Hatebreed, and we had an off day show or something, and Harm's Way were on the show, and
right, I remember, yeah.
He had the quad cortex with the power source, you know, thing, and I stood in front of his amp at soundcheck, and I was like, dude, that thing fucking rips.
Yeah.
And that's right shortly after that, like after that tour, I went home and I was like, fuck it, I'm getting one.
Yeah, that was Bo, right? Bo's tone was great.
Yeah, it's killer, man.
Run with them too, and it sounded awesome.
I mean, when you literally got, you know, I mean, I guess Billy's still using it, but you got Billy Bio and, you know, Bo from Harm's Way, and you got hardcore dudes using it, you got metal dudes using it. I mean, if you really get into it, if you're a real, like, you know, tone nerd guy and shit like that, I mean, it's limitless if you know what you do. I just don't know what I'm doing. I know.
Oh no, you're definitely right, because there was a guy in the same building as our studio, and they were working on like a Mustaine clone of I think they got it for each record. Like if you wanted it to be like Rust in Peace, you wanted it to be like, even if you wanted Risk or fucking like, you know, Washington Is Next or whatever, one of those later records, they had it that dialed in where it was so on point.
I mean, it's literally like my whole thing is if you run it, like, to me, it's just a fancy amp, even though it's basically a computer. But I would never run it direct or not just like, I just run it through a 412 cab and mic it like it could be a fucking Randall, a Marshall, a fucking Mesa, whatever. It doesn't matter, you know. Like on the Sun Don't Shine stuff, I use a Kemper, and Kenny would do his tracks in Staten Island, whatever, and send them down to Dwayne, and I would do my tracks, and he would always comment to Dwayne like, "What is Kirk using?" He goes, "It's the Kemper, dude. He just cut the gain back a bit." You know, it's like I can use it with Crowbar, I can use it with Sun Don't Shine, I can use it with Down, but you know, Pepper kind of frowns upon this new technology. Like, you know, if anything at all, like, you know, is like
dude, Pepper wants you guys recording a 2-inch tape. Fucking,
I mean, literally,
it's gonna come out on 8-track. The new Down is gonna come out on 8-track, and
if he could have his way, that would be. But I mean, I get it, you know. But to me, it's almost like, I mean, it does make a difference. I mean, there's a reason, but you also got to realize, you know, like, I mean, the reason technology happens and the reason, like, you know, these amps and stuff like continue to change, and all of these guys, like one of the guys that sold me on the, I think he's using the Quad Cortex is Jim Root. He was like, he said, I should have never said I'd never not use a tube amplifier because you would use orange tube stuff, you know. And he goes, I finally talked to the sound guy and this and that. And he goes, it's just so simple. I couldn't tell the difference, you know. And I'm like, okay, you know, if it makes it easy on everybody, I guess I'll give it a shot, you know. And I was like, all right, you know, if this dude who's like a tube amp purist is going to say fuck it and give in. And all these guys, I mean, it's easy for me because I have two little carry-on cases. Robin carries one for overhead. I carry one. They weigh like, you know, 10 pounds tops each, if. And the cases are real durable, but it's TSA approved little carry-on cases for overhead luggage. And it's like, you know, I have to set up my own shit. But I mean, when you got guys in fucking arena bands with techs and, you know, local loaders and all, you could have 100 fucking cabinets and 100 heads if you wanted, you know. But I mean, if these dudes are using it, then it must really sound good.
Hey everybody, it's Jamey letting you know today's episode with Kirk Windstein is brought to you by Reigning Phoenix Music. Make sure you head on over to the Reigning Phoenix Music Copycats Media stage when you're at Milwaukee Metal Fest this year. Support all the bands that are playing that stage, and right now you can pre-order the new INCITE. The album's called Savage New Times, and they are coming out on the Summer Slaughter Tour with Hatebreed in July, so don't miss them. They play early, get there early. The INCITE album is coming out August 25th. You can pre-order now over at reigningphoenixmusic.com. Use the code JASTA10 when you get to checkout at the store, and you will save 10%. Big thanks to Reigning Phoenix Music, and we're psyched to have INCITE on the Summer Slaughter Tour. Today's episode is also brought to you by one of the great Milwaukee Metal Fest sponsors, Blue Grape Music. You know them, you love them. Killer bands like Gridiron, who are going to be on the Summer Slaughter Tour, Heavy Hitter, who we're trying to get for Milwaukee Metal Fest 2026, and a new signing that's going to be announced very soon. But right now, you can save on your order when you go to bluegrapemusic.com. Use the code MMF25. That's MMF25 at checkout when you go to bluegrapemusic.com after the podcast with Kirk today. Blue Grape Music is industry veterans who brought you so many great releases at other labels like Roadrunner. And let me tell you, they signed Code Orange, they got Super Heaven, and a bunch of other great up-and-coming acts like the two I mentioned before, Gridiron and Heavy Hitter. Don't miss Gridiron on the Summer Slaughter Tour. Now back to the show. Right. I was wondering, I guess there was some technical difficulties, some issues last night on WrestleMania. Kerry King was doing the walkout song for Damian Priest, and I was wondering if it was like a DI issue or if he was using a Kemper. I should shout out the other company. I want to say it was Axe Effects, or is that the same company? There's three, right? Or is there four?
There's Fractal is one of the big ones.
Yep.
A lot of guys use that, and their tones sound great to me. There's Fractal, there's Kemper, and there's Quad Cortex. There's probably more, but
I think it's Axe Effects.
Okay. I mean,
that might be the fourth one, or I've heard of a bunch of different ones, but there was one there was one that I was surprised it was right near us at the studio.
Really?
And the company is based near us, so and they were doing amazing work from what I had heard. But yeah, I wondered, did Kerry? I guess most of the audience was none the wiser. I don't know if it was a cord or if or maybe the Netflix crew or the people in the truck didn't have his amp mic'd, or it was a DI signal, or I don't know, but I think it was fire, and you heard the announcers, and the guy is like a giant and looks menacing. Although, at one point, I do remember at another WrestleMania, he was trending on Twitter that people were calling him bisexual Undertaker. And I was like, this poor guy, he seems like a great dude. He's like a metal fan. They're calling him bisexual Undertaker. But I think once he linked up with Kerry, that people were like, oh, no, we can't, dong this dude off. Let's go to the chat real quick, because everybody was really excited to have you back on. And a lot of our people from patreon.com/Jasta, our patrons are the best in the world, and they supported your record. And
awesome. Thank y'all.
contributed to Ethereal Waves, which is going to be coming out end of June, early July, probably end of June, because we've been kicking ass with the folks at Copycats. They got
that's great, man.
Yeah, their vinyl, they're great, and the vinyl, we're not dealing with those long wait times anymore.
Yeah, I guess because because these guys really have it together, or is it in general how big vinyl is getting again, or has gotten? It's kind of like it used to be like forever to get something pressed up. It seems like the turnover time is a lot quicker now.
Copycats is the best. I think they got the North American plug for the PVC or whatever they call that, right? Because you don't want to be getting it from somewhere that might have a tariff or something. I don't even want to jinx it. Knock on wood. Shout out to Dallas Bolin. Dallas says, looking forward to hearing the second Kirk album, hoping it's even more steel, and that's steel with an E at the end, influence than the last one. I want to see Kirk do his own.
Some of it is
to death.
Wow.
Yeah, I would definitely say some of it is, because you got the keys in there. You got Vinny. Dwayne's production and mix sounds incredible.
It really does, man.
Tell us how you linked up with Vinny from Exhorter, and what made you want to do like co-writes with him and bounce ideas off of him and have him contribute.
Well, the link up was kind of an accident, and his coming on board and everything was honestly kind of an accident. But it's funny because he started hanging out by Dwayne. I mean, he's like one of the most amazing, well-rounded guitarists and musicians I've ever been around in my life, and that's the truth. He's a great guy. I love him to death. Super nice. I mean, all the Sun Don't Shine guys. Well, Big Todd knows him, of course, but Kenny and Johnny love him. And he's really, really cool and laid back. Enjoys his edibles and stuff. So, but he started hanging out around Dwayne's, and then like. I think I passed by one day and I was fucking around with something, and he's like, man, you mind if, you're getting ready to go back on the road, you mind if I fool around with a couple of these riffs and stuff while you're gone? I said, by all means, have at it, And literally, like, I'd come home and, like, he goes, okay, if you don't like it, brother, I totally understand. And he played me something, and I'm like, he kind of rewrote, like, a section or something, and I'm like, he looks at me, and, like, we all just kind of froze, and I'm like, dude, it's fucking killer. And he goes, all right, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let's just work together on this, So he really did almost all we don't have like ripping solos or anything, but he did most all the lead stuff in Sweeties. And, I did, of course, the majority of the writing, and I played on every song and everything. But, clean stuff is me, and a lot of the rhythm stuff and harmony stuff is me. But a lot of Sweetie tracks and or Candy, whatever, different people call them different shit. And, if you want to call it actual solos, most of that stuff is Vinny. So, we just started, and then it started getting where, like, I'd come in with him, and work together on a song or something. And I'm like, well, this is really the best of both worlds, because my attitude has always been, if you want a good product, leave your ego at the door and surround yourself with talent.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we're doing something with Kingdom of Sorrow, like I remember on the Behind the Blackest Tears, Charlie had written something or something and laid down guitar, and he's like, yeah, you want me to show it to you? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, do you want to play bass on it? I'm like, no, it's great. Just do it. I mean,
yeah. And he was surprised. He's like, and we always bring up that time when we were doing that record and you were playing something killer. And I was like, where is it? You didn't record it? We didn't get that. And I'm looking at Nikki, and you're like, that's all right. I'll come up with something else. And I was like, no, that was amazing. And you're like, they're like a dime a dozen. And then and I'm like, Jesus, this guy's got so many riffs. They're a dime a dozen. And when I heard this record and we started, playing teasers for the Patreon and stuff, and just playing it for dudes on the bus or people that I would see on the road, people couldn't believe how good it was. And I was like, how do you not believe it? He's in Crowbar. He's in Down. He's one of the most prolific songwriters and riff makers of all time. But there's this kind of like, what have you done for me lately? I think feeling
of
that
course.
with everybody. And I think that's kind of good in a way, because it's it makes you want to reach out and get that hook or get that melody or get that heavy riff where you're going to somewhere different on the neck. And it's like piecing a piece of a puzzle into an invisible puzzle. And then when you get it, it's like, ta-da! It's just like the best feeling. And I felt that for you, like listening. I felt like it was what I wanted to hear, which is the best feeling when you're listening to an artist you admire.
See, I mean, for me, like, people a lot of times are like, well, dude, you've done so much. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still not, I'm successful and I've been blessed, no doubt about it. But it's not like, I mean, I'm not in Foghat or something, I mean, you know what I mean? I can't be like a nostalgia band or some shit, even though we do a lot of older Crowbar material, but I make sure we always do some newer stuff too, because that's our band now, and if I didn't think that the songs were just as good or even better, I wouldn't fucking, we wouldn't play them live. But my whole thing is I always use your infamous satisfaction is the death of desire. And it's like, I'm never satisfied. I'm easy going, but it doesn't mean that I'm not waking up at 3:11 a.m. to piss, and I'm laying in bed with the riff going through my head going, something's wrong with this part right here. It's got to be different, and it's true. It's like, you gotta, it has to be like almost like you have an unconditional love with your children or your wife or something. It has to be pets. It has to be like that. You have to have an unconditional love with writing music and creating music that nothing can get in between. I've never really used that quote, but it makes sense to me, if you know what I mean. And that's the thing. I'm never satisfied. It can always be better. But then again, you can't get to the point. Like there comes a time when, okay, now we're just wasting our time.
Right.
Like Kenny would use the quote all the time that he said Peter would constantly say, the possibilities are endless, and he's like, yeah, Peter, but he goes, we spend like 10 more hours, and then we go back to the way we did it the first time. But you still got to try it, But
well, yeah, because the risk, it's not even so much a risk, but it's like, well, I guess it's a risk once you're established and people are used to a signature sound. But like, you've always taken those risks, and I remember noticing how the next generation of fans would be getting into Crowbar from that new album. And you're right about that. Like that, especially on Oddfellows, where I was like, okay, this is a real shift in sound.
Big time. I was nervous. Me and Jimmy were like, and then like putting Planets Collide first, I was like afraid to even like let anybody hear the song because, and it turns out, that it's pretty much
massive reward.
Yeah,
massive reward for the risk.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's authentic too. Like I remember my old manager, rest in peace, Steve Richards. He's like, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, if it's real, the world will feel it. And
that's a very good way to put things. Yeah.
And he, what he was talking about when he said that was Bother, because he played me Bother before Corey put it out, and it was going to be on the Spider-Man soundtrack. And I was like, whoa, are you for real? Like coming off of this crazy heavy, insane trajectory that Slipknot was on, he's going to do this song. But he's like, yeah, but listen to it. It's going to connect because it's authentic and it's real. And I was like, the dude is right. He's and talent and that ear for melody. It has a way of finding the ears it needs to find. And that's what you did with Oddfellows. And I was like, I mean, dude, I was like die hard for everything. I mean, especially Broken Glass. Like that was my
like
shit.
our hardest record to me.
Yes.
Like, most aggressive.
Yes, that's the one where I was like, oh my God. And Jimmy is like, he's so in the pocket, and
Dude, he
it's
played
not,
his ass off on that.
he really did. I gotta say, he did something magical on that, where, because it's not gridded. There's no fakery. There's no auto tune. There's no click tracks.
I mean, we rehearsed it a lot, and we just went for it. You know,
it's one of those records that's, to me, it's up there with like a Rain and Blood or any of these other metal classic records, where you hear the human air, but it adds the authenticity,
absolutely,
and the personality, like Danzig, you know, any of those first three, Metallica. I mean, I really do. And it's funny because people, when I say that and people get all freaked out, then they eventually will find it when they're available and ready to absorb it. And then they come to me and they're like, oh my God, dude, Broken Glass. And I say, see, what did I tell you?
Yep, it's true. You know, and it's like with everything, like with all of this, like I guess, you know, all the changes we made in this, like we took a lot of risks on Oddfellows, but you know, I told myself you can't be afraid to fail, because you can't just do the same fucking thing over and over again. And you know what? It's such a fan favorite that you know, it really opened up a whole new world of like, okay, it's okay if we do this here and there on these different songs, because in the beginning everything was like, you know, the first four frets down only. You know, we had like rules like you can't go up here. You know, if you're gonna play a G up high, no, it has to be played in the third fret. You know, because everything had to be low and caca, you know, and all of that shit. And then as you get older, and you're a writer, you know, you start to just go, you're really kind of, you know, painting yourself in a corner, or painting with one color instead of using a whole, you know, fucking spectrum. And because it is endless what you can do, that's why I do so many different things. And like Ethereal Waves to me is a lot. There's a lot more. It's not heavy by any means, but there's a lot more maybe crowbarish or traditional Kirk stuff on it than on Dream in Motion. But you know, that's why I play in so many different bands, because there's so many different sides to what I like to not only play, you know, as far as you know, just music or whatever, but it's what I want to write. Like, you know, I mean, with like Sun Don't Shine, I mean, Kenny's by far the main writer. You know, I'm so busy, and I mean, he's a vocalist, you know, and he's like, no, but I loved your voice, so we use me, you know, my vocals here and there, but I mean, his voice is undeniable, and I'm like, you know, but I still like, I throw in shit here and there and change it up just enough where I put my stamp on it, but in general, I'm just like, I love playing what you're coming up with, dude. I don't have an ego where I have to come in and change something so that I can say I help write something. It's beautiful. It's fucking great, you know? So the old, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I mean, too many cooks, you know, in the kitchen. It's like, sit back and listen with an open mind and an open ear, and then, you know, see where it takes you or whatever. So if he does something that I think, but he's one of those guys that he's his own worst critic, you know, and that's because he's constantly trying to outdo it and do it better. And I'm like, but it's great already, you know. But it's great, dude. I mean, we have a great working relationship and a great friendship, and it's awesome, you know.
You know, I feel like, well, and everybody's excited for that one too. You know, that's going to be great, and hopefully once we get your solo record out, we'll start getting people involved, and if they want to contribute to that. You know, people have been asking me about that. I got to get with Andrew, and if anything, I mean, best case scenario is we get involved and we help maybe license our own color of vinyl or whatever, or get the fans involved to contribute. I know a lot of people want their name up there. They want to be on that executive producer list,
sure,
like they were, you know, on your other records and on the Jasta records and the Corpse Grinder and all that. But I was thinking when I was listening to the tracks that you sent over that it's cool to hear you do the different tunings and the different stuff. Like you were the first person to tell me about Dad Gad and
Right.
And Kenny does some of those, right? Especially on
We do. He doesn't use Dadgat. He does like what you call it? Heroes to Dust is Dadgad.
Oh yeah, on Kingdom, yep.
Yes.
What
because it was written as an acoustic thing, just for the fuck of it, But I mean, the thing is, we tune to E standard, we tune to D standard, we tune to E standard and drop it down to D, we tune to D standard and drop it down to C, and we tune to B standard on some shit. So I'm like, okay, if we go play live, we're gonna need like, 4 guitars each or some shit. But I mean, bands like Soundgarden did that, where like they'd probably have 12 tunings or something, across like everything possible, different keys and different, open like all like the Zepp, like Dadgad's a Jimmy Page thing. That's Kashmir is out of Dadgad. That's why it's got that Middle Eastern kind of vibe to it or whatever, It's like, did you just bring? It sounds like a fucking sitar or something,
When you were working with Vinny, was he a proponent of that as well? Like having because it's your solo record. There's no rules. There's no limits, and you probably weren't going to do many shows on it or touring on it. Was he suggesting other tunings as well? And were you trying different things?
We kind of stuck. We're in D standard for most of it, and
yeah, because your voice sits so good in that. Is it weird when you're doing it because you're so used to singing in
I'm used to singing in B standard. So the weird thing is in Crowbar, when I drop from B standard to a drop A, I actually, instead of going down a full step with my voice, I'm able to go up to the top of my range. So songs like The Cemetery Angels is drop A, Let Me Mourn is drop A. So it's like a whole different, like when I run into, say, writer's slump or whatever you want to call it thingy, I drop it down and it gives you a whole new like spectrum of what you can do. Like if I got some 6 songs into this new Crowbar record and I'm fucking stuck. Well, you know what, man? We do the same thing with Down. Like me and Pepper the other day were like, oh my God, we don't have any drop songs on this record. We have an acoustic thing out of Dadgad.
Okay.
Actually, I play Dadgad and he plays open D, I think. So it's a really weird thing, but we'll leave that for when it comes out, of course. But
do you sorry to interrupt, but you got me thinking now. Do you remember when it was a big thing within the Down fan base to be like, why doesn't Kirk and Pepper also sing? Do you remember that? Because I remember that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, we still on the records, we don't at all. I mean, live, I think, like I even told Pepper, I said, man, I said, I'm so jealous of you with COC because, he always had Woody and Mike Dean, and now he's got Woody and he's got Bobby Landgraf, who's a really great singer.
Yeah, he's great.
Bobby's great all around, but it's kind of like, I'm asking all my guys and they're like, I can't sing. And I'm like, Jesus, I can't get like, at least you can like dudes, you guys can sing the backing vocals or something during the fucking chorus and you can
get a breath.
I mean, not that you're not jumping around and doing your thing, but yeah, you're not singing and having to hit a note or something, And I'm like, God, I'm like, dude, I envy you to have that. But years ago, we asked Phil about that and he's like, I'm the singer. And we're like, well, you are. I mean, he is. But I mean, live, live a lot of times, there's certain parts on certain songs that, of course, Phil did it in the studio, but it's impossible to do without someone else helping. And on stuff like Something on My Side, like Phil's like, there's something on Pepper, there's something on, there's something, we actually, Pepper and then me and then Phil, I think. So, it's like you're doing shit that's layered in the studio that you need 2 other guys, or at least, one other guy to do it. But We don't sing much at all on any of the down really, but on the stuff we do, it's it's cool.
Now, has he gone back to the no rhyming? Remember when that was a thing with him when he's like, I don't want to rhyme?
Phil, you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it's. This is what I think. I think that, and we talked about it, like, kind of jokingly and stuff, but it's kind of, I'm like, dude, at some point, I think you were just overthinking because it went from the simplicity of NOLA, where there's so many open areas of just big, simple riffs and shit, to like really being complex on a lot of songs on Down 3 Over the Under. And, where he's almost singing over every part of the song but the guitar solo or something. And I think like we all kind of just, it's been so like we were out at the Lair and I'm like, yeah, I said, I haven't been out here writing with you dudes since for the first EP. So maybe like 2011, early 2012.
Wow.
And yeah, so, and and it's true. So it's kind of like we haven't written together in so long that it was so fresh. I mean, we got together on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I think we had 7 songs written because you got 5 dudes that can write riffs.
Yeah.
I mean, the drummer can write riffs too, and Pat writes great, and Phil writes great. So it's like, and you got me and Pepper on guitar. So when you got 5 dudes that can write riffs, there's some songs that we all kind of have a riff in it, even, or a part, half a riff or something,
That's great. Yeah, everybody's excited. We can't wait to see you headline Milwaukee Metal Fest Friday, May 16th. Everybody go get your tickets at therave.com/metalfest. Now, when you're working with Vinny from Exhorter, does it ever come up that, like, does he ever talk about Pantera, them influencing Pantera and that whole, thing that the fans really, had pushed and latched onto? Does he feel like he influenced Dime and them, or does he just downplay it? Or
we don't really talk about it, and he does downplay it. But to me, I would say this, and this is an honest to God's truth. I don't think that those 2 bands sound anything alike at all. There was a point in time that Phil was a huge Exhorter fan, and that was like his favorite band for a little bit, And I remember like going and staying with Phil in Arlington at his little apartment, and it was like in the VHS was like a live, shot like Exhorter thing or something, and we watched it so many times. I'm like, dude, I love him too, but Jesus, can we watch something else? But no, I mean, we don't talk about stuff like that. It's so long ago, and like I said, I honestly don't even hear the similarities at all. I mean, look, Kiss are one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't think I have one fucking thing anywhere that sounds anything like Kiss. You can be a fan of something and not like be directly influenced by it.
yeah, I mean, if anything, I think it helped Exhorter kind of get out, especially in the internet age. Just having that attached to them. It was a thing in the underground in the tape trading days, but I think also it had to do mainly with just Pantera getting so big and bigger. And the same thing happened with Metallica, right? People will say, "Oh, this riff is Dark Angel," or "This riff is XL," and this riff, and it was just because it had gotten that much bigger, where it was literally 10 or 20 times bigger than the underground bands.
Right. I mean, I hear like Pantera is a hard one to put a finger on. It's because, I hear Van Halen and shit up in there, maybe deep in the back, but I do hear like, and that was why, when me and Dime would hang out and just drink and stuff, we'd listen to Van Halen and Kiss and Cheap Trick and shit like that, that Phil had no interest. He wanted to listen to extreme music, as extreme as you could get for back then anyway, but but yeah, I mean, I still like they go into breaks and stuff, and I'm like, that's Van Halen-ish, but way heavier, you know. But I mean, you know, I think that like most bands, I mean, everyone knows my influences, and I mean, sure, I got riffs here and there that are Peter Steelish or, you know, King Buzzo or something like that. But you know, and I got hardcore riffs left and right on different stuff. But those aren't from any particular band. It's just a whole East Coast hardcore core movement from back then. Was such a
Yeah, I
big
think everybody
influence.
to a certain extent is just emulating the artist that they love. But do you remember seeing Pantera pre-Phil
Yep. Like
and where they came to New Orleans with Terry Glaze? Glaze
no.
Terra?
Some friend, myself, and like two other friends, we literally took a trip to Houston on a weekend to go record shopping. And it ended up being that because I mean, dude, this is like 40 years ago, you know. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. Like 40 years ago. So obviously there's no internet. So we like get to town or at the music store and we pick up a paper and we knew who Pantera was from the fanzines and stuff and all of the underground stuff. And we open up the little like local paper and it's like, man, that Pantera band's at Cardi's like tonight. And we're like, let's fucking go. They're doing like 5 sets. So I literally like met the band between you know, sets and shit. I mean, none of them remember it, of course, but you know, I met the dudes and shit and watched the whole fucking show, and it was, I mean, I was blown away. It was great, but it's very, you know, other than people from Texas, especially people that are still, you know, involved. Like, I mean, Jesus, I mean, down with Phil. I mean, you know, where I'm chatting with him constantly online and whatever, in the group chats and stuff. So I mean, for people like, I gotta be one of the few people that saw them without him. So when he told me he was going to try out, I was like, dude, that band's killer, you know. And I think he like the band he used to play in, Razor White, Matt Thomas, who played in Crowbar, he loved the Pantera Hot and Heavy or whatever. You know, I think Razor White actually fooled around with a cover of it or something. And Phil, we went and played football at like some little playground or something, like a pickup game or whatever. And he was getting ready to fly out like in a day or two. And he's like, dude, I've got to let you hear this. And I said, oh, I know who they are, dude. And he's like, really? He goes, dude, don't tell anybody, man. I'm going to try out. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, the shit didn't work out with the singer or kicked him out or whatever. I don't know. He goes, but I'm going to try out. And like the guys in Razor White were like, as soon as we found out, we're like, oh, he's going to get the job and there ain't no way he's going to turn it down, because as soon as he hears Diamond, Vinnie Paul, you know, it's going to be like, oh, okay. The possibilities are endless in the Peter Steele quote, because they were and they are as to what they were capable of. There's nothing that band couldn't do, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Listen up, everybody. The Jasta Show is presented by Sumerian Records, and right now you can pre-order the new Slaughter to Prevail album, Grizzly. It's coming out in July 18th, that is. No coupon code needed. You just got to put in your email when you go to SumerianRecords.com. Sumerian Records is presenting the main stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and they got a ton of new releases that I think you'll enjoy. Check out Face Yourself. Check out 7 Hours After Violet, featuring my boys, Shavo. Shout out to Morgoth. He's going to be on the podcast very soon. And, of course, when you're over at SumerianRecords.com, you can get vinyl from Animals as Leaders, Within Destruction, and many more. Big thanks to Sumerian Records, SumerianRecords.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Nuclear Blast Records. That's right, Nuclear Blast is killing it right now. Gates to hell, the ground quakes, the surface fractures, a colossal force rises from the abyss. That's right, Gates to hell have returned. And to deliver their undeniable truth. Death Comes to All is the name of the album, freshly signed to Nuclear Blast Records. The Louisville natives charge onto the heavy scene with their second full length, and they're playing Milwaukee Metal Fest, so don't miss them Sunday, May 18th. They blur the lines between death metal, hardcore, and every brutal sound in between. Go get the record now at nuclearblast.com and make sure you stop by their stage and see Gates to Hell at Milwaukee Metal Fest. Now back to the show. You know, the other thing I was going to say about the Exhorder influence is that anytime anyone gets that successful, it doesn't matter if it's music or anywhere else, in any other field, that you're always going to have a target on you where people want to discredit you in any way. And
even way back there was haters, you know. But I mean, now you got the keyboard warrior haters and all that kind of shit, of course. But even way back, you know, anytime somebody, it's like I try to be like a better person where I'm like pulling for everybody. Like my philosophy on this is, even for bigger bands and shit, at the end of the day, we all gave our lives to this. So at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So why are you going to be jealous? Why are you going to pull against somebody? You know, I'm pulling for everybody. Like this new acid bath thing, it's like I'm pulling for these guys to do great. It's gonna do great, of course, but you know, it's up to them to, if they want to, you know, take it further or whatever. And who knows if they try to take it farther, if it would work or not. But still, I'm like, you know, more power to them. I think it's great.
Oh, yeah. And that should inspire any band that maybe fell below the wayside or had a abrupt ending to say, you never know. You can find, especially with streaming, with these video games or syncs or a big playlist or a celebrity wearing your shirt. I don't know.
Right.
You never know what could happen where you just get a brand new audience. I mean, look at what's happening with Hardlore and all the East Coast and West Coast hardcore bands and underground hardcore bands are just gaining this new audience that wasn't there because it's grown since then. You know, that audience really wasn't there back when the bands were super active, but it is now. And because the kids didn't get to see those bands then, they're super excited about it now. And I agree with you. It's like, you got to have that mindset of abundance. Otherwise, you're just fighting for the same crumbs. And there's way more than crumbs to go around.
Absolutely. You know,
but if all you see is crumbs, then you're a rat. But if you see the whole pie, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you got to look at it. Definitely. Let's go back to the patrons here. So we got a shout out. We got everybody coming in here now. Jake Olszewski, what's up, Jake? Jeffrey Kewen, what's up, Jeff? Dallas says you can literally tie your beard over your head. Do you ever do that for the old lady? Do you?
No, but I do eat with it tucked in my shirt.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, not at like a public restaurant or something. I mean, at home, you know, even a fucking sandwich or something. I'm like, all right, you know.
Oscar Brummett, what's up, Oscar? Brian Underkoffler, shout out to Brian. Brian says, who's at the Syracuse show on Saturday, felt so bad for Suicidal and Pantera, couldn't hear it in the upper levels. Yeah. I wondered how it is playing in, I know you did it with Down playing in the round. But
yes, but this is different. This is no gear on stage with the drum kit. So everything's in ear, and that's it. Like with Down in 2008, we did it, and it was strange, of course, because, you know, you had to work the whole, it's not really a stage. It's strange. You're not playing to, you know, like we literally, you know, Pepper would come over by me or something, and that was when we were forced to go wireless, because I don't really like wireless. Like on these Danzig dates, we just hardwired it and said fuck it, you know. But you know, like somebody would come over, Rex, Phil, Pepper, whatever, like, dude, go on the other side, nobody's over there. So I'd have to like cross over to Lars's drum kit and try not to, you know, scratch a cymbal or some shit, and then get over there, and then it'd be like, oh fuck, Pepper's got a solo coming up, so I go with his fucking pedal board and work the wah-wah for him, and he's on the other side, playing the other side of the fucking arena, and it was like, it's like by the time it finally ended, we were just getting comfortable, and it's over, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very strange, to do it. But I mean, it was a great experience. But I was asking, Phil and even like Eddie, Matt, the sound guy and stuff about it. And they're like, this is a totally different world because there's nothing on stage at all. There's no, what we did was we looked at the stage and we went, okay, there's two 412 guitar cabinets here. There's an 810 bass cabinet there. There's two 412 guitar cabinets here. So we just put our shit in front of Metallica. Like, we don't know if that was James or Kirk shit or whatever. And then Rex put shit in front of Robert. And that way we kind of like copied what they were doing. And then like the Sword chose to just play to one side of the arena every night, which, I mean, no disrespect, I never kind of understood it, but they would just set up like that was the only crowd. And I'm like, but dudes, 2/3 of the crowd can't see you. But that's the way they did it. But we just copied Metallica and just did it, and it was weird because if you'd get too far away, like we weren't allowed to use certain monitors and shit like that. So like you'd be so far away that you realize you couldn't hear what the fuck was going on, and I have to turn, and Jimmy's like 48 feet, so watching his hands on the cymbals and shit, trying to keep on, and I mean, look, it's Metallica, but it was funny because, like I think he's gotten much better now as he's gotten older, Phil, with talking. But he would talk and he would try to keep it minimal. But like when they tell you it's done, it's like we start Bury Me in Smoke, and we're like in the first verse, and the thing was Jimmy would just start slowing down, and we all knew, okay, it's time to stop, or they're gonna pull the fucking plug and put the house lights on. So some nights we played like 40 seconds of Bury Me in Smoke, and some nights it was 7 minutes long. It just depended.
Right.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
we were like, they were so good to us. We're like, it's fucking Metallica. Of course you're going to respect them. You're going to be an idiot not to.
Well, it was definitely much different stage banter from Ozfest 2002.
Oh, yeah.
To opening for Metallica in arena.
And especially today. Today, it's like he doesn't, it isn't. I mean, he jokes with a little bit of his personality, but it's all business, man, and they're killing it, and it's just awesome.
I do miss the, smoke acid, eat pussy, so I do miss all that fun stuff, but maybe I'll hit him up and I'll say, hey, can we get a little bit of that at Milwaukee Metal Fest? Can we get a little, bang your head like it's 1888 or whatever it was? And I was like, what are we gonna put powder wigs on? Like, what do we? I think he meant to say 1988, but
yeah, but I mean, he's all, I don't want to say all business because he's loving it and he's out there but he's all about doing the best performance he can.
Yeah.
Which is the way it should be, and I mean, that's the whole mentality of like I've really tried to take on in the last decent amount of years is, it's the music's too important and the fans are too important, to waste their time or to go up there, fucked up or something like that, so you really gotta cut it back drastically and do. I mean, he does all the shows stone cold sober,
Yeah.
Bring
So
do you miss the
hey? Do you miss the hey? Hold on.
I mean, he'll with down. I mean, if there's like a fight or something, he'll do that.
Right.
He's still like. I mean, with down, he still jokes. I mean, look, he's what I'm sure, like on the Pantera headlining, he can have a little more fun. But I mean, it's Metallica, so once again, you're okay. It better be like a fucking well-oiled machine because there's no time for anything. But with down, he still goofs around with shit, and all, which is great because then he look at me and do something stupid, I'm cracking up. But I used to love when he do all this shit, like he'll still come by and like pull my beard or like grab me by the eyes, do these wrestling maneuvers, and it's always when I'm trying to do like the toughest part of my toughest solo, like Ghost Along the Mississippi or some shit, and he's like fucking with me. But dude, it's all great, it really is.
Some days we would be signing while Down was playing on Ozfest 2002. You do like the autograph signing at FYE. Shout out to FYE. I don't even think they have like there's probably one left somewhere like in Alaska. There's like one. There's one FYE. But I remember like he would just always come up with something just so wild. It would be one day it was like, stop fucking looking at me.
He used to use that with a band.
That was my favorite. Like they're here to see you. Don't stop fucking looking at me. I loved that one. But you know what I was gonna say too was on those Metallica. Well, first of all, I watched videos from the Danzig tour, and you guys sounded amazing. He sounded great. And it was so shout out to Opus. He was like in his glory, getting to play.
He's great. Yeah, he hit me up actually. Yeah, he hit me up for my birthday, and then I hit him back. You know, just like I was going through it. It was so overwhelming, and I really like. I just got back in the gym today after, like, dude, I literally had from February 3rd. I got home March 10th. March 12th, I was doing rehearsals for the Down tour and flew straight to fucking Vegas to meet the bus, jumped on the fucking thing, did the tour, came home, had a day off, and then went in to start drum tracks. So I literally I finished drum tracks, I don't know, like April fucking 10th or something. We finished up or something like that. So it was like a legit, like, 9 weeks with like, I think like 5 days of where I didn't have to do a gig, rehearsals, or be on tour or whatever, And I just got home, dude, and I started having like sciatica issues and all this kind of crap, and it got really, really bad.
Oh, dude, you need the ass cushion. You got to get the ass cushion like me on the flight. It's amazing.
Well,
People laugh at me.
Started back in I get it in my right leg when I'm driving. But
I know.
I started getting it. I told Robin, I said, because Shane from Napalm has it as well. He's been suffering with it a bit. And we were both on the tour, and he's like, oh, how's the sciatica made? And I said, dude, you got to get up, and you really got to get up and move. It's like laying in your bunk for too long, or sitting in the dressing room doing nothing, just playing on your phone or some shit. It's like lack of physical activity really makes it worse. I mean, going to the gym today was like, it showed me, especially like I'm telling myself, all right, this is my first workout in my 60s, and I'm like, after I left, I'm like, there's no doubt that everybody who is mentally and physically capable of doing this should be doing this, because the difference is like fucking night and day.
Dude, isn't it amazing? I know. You know what I love now is the rebounding. I go on the little trampoline for my nephew. 2 minutes.
Oh, I bet.
Trampoline, and you're just in a way better mood. But what I was gonna say was, did Metallica? And happy belated birthday. I wrote you a message. I wrote you a message on Instagram, and I wrote you. So awesome. I'm not glossing over Kirk's 60th. I know believe me, if you had told me either of us if you had told me that I would make it to 40 and that Kirk would make it to 60 20 years ago, I'd be like, no way.
No way. We were lucky to make it to wake up the next day.
When we were recording the first version of the Kingdom of Sorrow record, which we shelved because it was so bad.
It's terrible.
But what I was going to say was, do you remember on that Metallica run with Down, with them being in the round, did they do that same weird entrance thing where there's no entrance? They just walk out and the fans can see them and they're just hanging out. And it's like, oh, hey, what's up?
I never saw them walk out, but like what we did, I'm guessing they had to do the same exact thing. Like when we walked out, we had like, I guess, I can't even remember, like fucking, intro music or something. But when you come out, there's like barricades from the, like, coming out of the back, the underneath the arena seating or whatever. There's barricade. It's almost like, to me, it was like, this is like going, like a boxer going in the ring, because there's security everywhere and there's fans that are on the floor, like high-fiving you and shit when you're heading out, and there's security guys and all on both sides, and there's barricades. There's a little lane that you walk in straight to the steps that you get up on stage. And then they had, like the crew guys are all down between the barricade and the stage, all our amps and guitars and all that kind of shit, Guitar World and all that shit. Everything was all down there. It was a real strange thing, but I never saw Metallica come on stage because there was only 20 minutes or something, 25 minutes tops between Down and Metallica. Because, our shit would be off stage and fucking, you got 100 local loaders or whatever. Boom, it's done, and they shove everything out of the fucking way and wrap the stuff up. So I was still like getting back there, like kind of unwinding or whatever. And I caught them every single night,
Yeah, because I watch those videos now where I see him and it's so weird. Like he's sitting there smoking a cigar. And there's no big, walk out explosions come up from the bottom of the stage. There's nothing. It's kind of like punk rock in a way. It's like, yeah, you're right here. And he goes over and takes pictures and signs stuff, gives the little kid the guitar
he's a great
pick and stuff.
Man. Sure. It's cool.
Yeah. Back to the Patreon here. We got Andrew Case. He says, I am listening to these amazing guys talk right now. And I am so going to jam Kingdom of Sorrow when this is over. Can we discuss the new Kingdom of Sorrow album here in this chat? What do we need to do to get this in the works? So I'll tell you,
Jamey.
now that I've been fully immersed in the Hatebreed record and I'm slowly getting back to the podcast and slowly getting back to the Patreon, it's the like Peter Steele, God rest his soul. The possibilities are endless. And when I went through the hard drive, guess what? There was a song that Keith, shout out to Keith Buckley, he passed on. Thank God he passed on it. Or Nikki just didn't play it to him. I don't know. Or Charlie didn't play it to him, but he passed on it. And I remember now the demo was originally for Kenny. I was actually going to give, yes. I don't know if I was going to eventually like hit Kenny up and be like, hey, I don't know if you want to use this for Seventh Void or if you want to use this for one of your projects, but I had written it with Kenny in mind. And then I had submitted it to Keith for the Many Eyes record and he passed on it. And then when I started listening to it, I was like, oh my God, I can tune this down to B or tune this down. I really like C sharp.
That's what down tunes do,
Yeah, I love C sharp. I thought this would sound great in C sharp. So I'm going to send you that demo, but I do have two other songs. I have two other demos I can send you too, but now that you're past solo album number 2, I got Jamey Jasta for All Out. I have the Hatebreed coming out. You're going to have the new Crowbar next year and the Sun Don't Shine. I could see a way to maybe fall of 2026 or winter of 2027. I could see us doing that, but we have to, I guess we have to get with Nick and Charlie and be like, look, there can be no distractions. We have to, me, it has to top the first 2 records. Otherwise, why do it? Like, it has to be like, we come with such bangers,
right?
Or maybe we do like our Odd Fellows, where we take a real risk and a real swing and do something different.
I mean, at least having some of it like that would really be cool to me, I mean, a song like Heroes to Dust was a huge departure from the debut, to me. But
sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like my next thing, because Down's written, drums are done, bass is done. Phil's probably working on lyrics as we speak, literally. But the Sun Don't Shine guys are coming down in June, and we're going to finish that up finally, and it'll be done. And then my next thing is Crowbar. But, I mean, with Kingdom now, with you, myself, of course, with Charlie, it's like, I'm like fighting to get riffs in and shit. but it's great, So, I mean, it's kind of like, I really need to, on this upcoming tour, I guess this is a perfect time to go ahead and just announce it. Because Shane Wesley, our bass player, is playing all the Acid Bass shows. So Pat Bruders is going to fill in August for the Crowbar I got like co-headlining run. So Pat's going to be with us. So we're going to be rehearsing in July with him. He knows, 3/4 of the set probably anyway, because he played on Sever the Wicked Hand. So he played all the way up to the end. So there's only been, but we picked up a lot of older songs that we didn't do with him back then. But, it was kind of like, he's like, well, what do I asked him and he's like, fuck yeah, man. He just wants to jam. And I'm like,
That's great.
Because Shane was like, well, I don't know what to do. They keep adding shows. I said, look, dude, it started out as the one, like Sick New World or whatever. And then, of course, that didn't happen. But it started out as that. And he committed to it. And then they started adding shit. And I said, look, you committed to him. I said, you're in the band. You're the band member. You're our bass player. I said, but don't worry about it. Just go ahead and do the best job you can do with Acid Bath. Have fun, And I said, Pat will be great, So we're looking forward to it. Just
That's
for,
great.
not. I'm looking forward to it in the sense that, Pat's one of my best friends too. I mean, I love hanging out with Shane as well. But it'll be cool. I mean, I just toured with Pat, and we spent a lot of time rehearsing in the studio, and then I usually meet Pat at the rehearsal room because Phil's on the North Shore. So on rehearsals we were driving back and forth. Now when we did drum tracks, we just lived out at Phil's because it was wasting like 3 hours a day on the road that could be spent. So everybody would get a good night's sleep. Like at a certain point we just cut it off and say it's enough for tonight. And we're all early risers. I mean, one morning.
Oh, dude, your texts, it's like morning rocker, and I'm like, what time is it there? It's like 5:30 by me. I'm like, wow.
Well, I mean, Pat, right now he's luckily doesn't have to work a day job, and I'm not going to get into his personal shit, but he's so used to getting up early for work. But the thing is like even Jimmy, he gets up really early. I mean, his wife's got a regular office job or whatever, So it's like me and Pepper room together technically in one of the bedrooms at Phil's. So we wake up, at the same time, like 8 a.m. or something like that, and it's like, all right, let's go get some breakfast at fucking Waffle House or something. We might as well grab some beer while we're there because we're gonna need it later on the day. Because there's nothing around Phil's really, It's pretty far out there, but it's like a great atmosphere for creating because you don't really have any distractions. Literally, I mean, the only thing I did is text Haley, once a day or something and see how she's doing and check in with Robin every, 3-4 hours, and see how she's doing and the whole situation with her dad now. And she's doing great, by the way. I talked to him today. It was his 86th birthday today. But,
wow.
Yeah. So, that's all I really do. And other than that, my phone's like, I have a spot for it, like, and, fucking out, whatever, on a table where we had like a jamming area with practice amps where we'd go through the demos and relearn the songs. And if Phil wanted something tricked up or changed or whatever, he changed a few things on a few songs, we'd learn how to do it that way and shit. And then we'd go in and run through it a few times. And we had the headphones the whole time with like direct lines. And then, we tell Jimmy, all right, let's start going for it, So we had a little system that worked out where we'd get up, get over there, start working on it, figure what songs we're gonna do. I mean, toward the end, I think we got it to where the last day we only had to do one song, but it was the most difficult one. There was really no breaks for like punching in and shit like that. We just kind of had to nail it. And it was a pretty long one and pretty involved, but it's a killer one. So, but Jimmy kicked ass, and Pat, we kind of got it where Pat's such a tight player. He really is. We're just going to reamp his tracks, and he punched in a few little thing. He never made any big mistakes. We probably could have passed with it anyway, but he's like, no, I can do better on that one part or whatever. So he punched in a few little things, and it's like, okay, the bass is done too. So I'm about to get I'm about to go by Eddie Map tomorrow out at Philip and Kate's, and pick up some gear and then come back and get with Dwayne. And I'm about to get started on. I think we're gonna do rhythm guitar by Dwayne for the convenience of him being right here, and he's great. And it was Eddie's idea in the first place. So, because really Eddie's the head guy in charge on this thing as far as that and everything. But we're gonna do rhythms by Dwayne's, and I do like leads and sweeties out by Phil's at another time, And then but with the way we have it right now, if Phil feels like if his voice is feeling good and he wants to go for one, he can lay down fucking. It's all set up and ready to roll. I mean, he could literally start singing tomorrow if he feels good, I mean, said he was gonna make a few vocal changes from the demo stuff, but he's pretty much got it all figured out and mapped out. So, like, a lot of the songs didn't make any sense, and then he went in the vocal booth, and he would kind of be, he would guide us through like a conductor would do or something. Like, all right, and go to halftime. All right, get ready. We got break right here. Whatever. And I'm like, after we'd run through the 2 or 3 times, we took a break. I said, dude, now all the songs made complete sense to me. Because at first I was like, I don't know about this part. I don't know, all the riffs were great, but he's got a way of just putting it together and arranging it. And, when he would go in there and kind of guide us through the tracks, it was like, wow, this is great. And I think people are going to be absolutely blown away. It's really fucking great.
Dude, the cover song that you played me, is that going to go on the record? That sounded amazing. Phil's voice sounded great.
No, and I'm gonna keep it quiet for right now anyway.
Okay.
But I mean, a lot of people know, but obviously, but no, that it's a bonus track thingy. It's something that Phil really wanted to do, and then we thought about it, and we're all like, yeah, we kind of be foolish not to. So we did a video for it, and we're kind of waiting for the final editing and shit. And then really, as soon as it's ready, Kate's like, she kind of was like, I was hoping we'd have it out already, but it'll be fine. Because I mean, the release of the album we're trying to get it out because people are like, when's it coming out? I'm like, ASAP. But the hard part to me is done. I mean, rhythm tracks are not the hardest thing in the world to do. And as long as Phil's happy with his vocals, of course, priority number one. But, sweeties and leads are fun. And really, this album is more about, like, the sweeties and shit are parts of the riffs. It's not so much just
so you're doing like harmonies and
yeah.
Do you get tech with it? Like, oh, I'm doing lower sevenths. I don't know. I hear all the guitar players. I'm like, yo, do this thing like Andreas does. Do this thing like Carrie does. Like, I don't have, because I'm not a musician.
Kenny will be like, well, it's don't do the ninth, do the seventh, and I'm like, what, of Beethoven? I mean, I don't know what the fuck a seventh or a ninth. I know what a fifth is. And then he started showing me like, well, okay, so in this scale of blah, 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 this is the fifth note, this is the seventh note. And I'm like, I just go by ear, But he does tell me all the time. He's like, Kirk, he's like, you have an amazing, impeccable ear for music and pitch and a great sense of timing. And I'm like, well, thank you. That's the only things that got me anywhere.
You really do. You really do. It's got to be something in the water down there because you guys, your whole area, your whole state, all of Louisiana just has its own just creative, unique specialty. I don't know what it is. It's like
it's
you have the ear, you got the groove, but even in other styles of music, it's not just the jazz and the blues and the rock and the metal. It's even in the pop stuff and in the indie, like even the indie bands that are in wherever you call it. I don't know, like the what's the guys that use the like Galactic. Indie.
Yeah, they're more like funk type stuff or whatever.
Yeah. What's the guys that use the washboard? I forget their name.
Zydeco and shit.
Yes.
That's like Cajun, like Zydeco, the accordion and the washboards and all that stuff. It's just like that's our whole culture, dude. I'm always joking with you about like beer or something. And dude, this is a quote. We had the Crescent City Classic 5K run the other day where they run from the fairgrounds where the Jazz Fest is. They run from there to City Park, and they're like, "We're live on the road. You know, we have over 25,000 entrances. Whatever people running this year. And dude, people are in costumes. People are pushing babies in strollers, like listening to music. All the serious runners start first, and they go for it. People are just walking along, and they're handing out like water and like little oranges and stuff for hydration, and they're like, oh, and the camera swings, and and as you can see across the street, Drago's, which is a really famous restaurant, only in New Orleans, they're handing out beers for hydration, and it's a 5K run. I'm like,
well, at the end of the 5K,
oh, everybody gets tanked at the end,
Yeah, they give you a bagel and a banana and a beer and stuff, and
yeah,
and I like when you had the fake beer and I'm like, you're like, I'm getting fake bombed.
Well, it gives you a placebo. I mean, we keep them around, especially on the Napalm tour. I drank a lot, and if I, it's getting close to my beer o'clock, which is actually getting later and later as I get older and less. Dude, I'm down to the point where like, if it's like if we're in Europe and it's a big like German beer, I just take one on stage. That's all I need. It's plenty enough, man.
So the big news, we got some exclusives here. You got the I Hate God Crowbar co-headliner, right? That's going out in August. I'll post the dates up. This is going to air for another week or two, so I'll post the dates up on the Patreon first. But what happens on Patreon stays on Patreon.
Right.
And then
I don't even have them yet, to be honest.
Right.
I'll try to get Robin Head up to hand, but
And then also, Bruder's doing the tour with you, and shout out to Shane, and that's going to be great to have him out with Acid Bath.
Absolutely.
They're another one. I wonder what amps they're using, because Sammy uses the.
He uses Randall.
He still uses the Randall, yeah.
Well, for Godor, I think he still does. He's got one of the. I mean, every one of these guitars, I call them devil guitars. Every one of them look exactly alike. There's like upside down crosses, all these weird, angles and all this kind of shit. But he's got a really huge guitar. Like he sent me one time. He goes, "This is ridiculous," and it looked like fucking Guitar Center, And same thing with the amps. Like the thing is Shane. Look, he's an amazing dude, and he's extremely talented, well-rounded musician. But he's really good friends with Sammy and Zach Simmons from Godor. So he'll go hang out with Sammy and work on guitar tones and play around with gear and shit like that. And that's really not my thing, So when they had asked Sammy, I mean, they asked Shane to learn the songs and come out to Lafayette, I guess near Dax's, and come jam. And on the first weekend, Shane told me, I didn't know he was out there. It was kind of secretive, So I hit up Sammy and I said, do you think he's got the gig? And he goes, well, Dax and Mike Sanchez, the other guitar player who's original, Dax and Mike really like him. And of course, Sammy and Zach love him, So he goes, I really think he does. I said, dude, that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, no, Shane's the best. The young rocker, as you call him. So
yes,
lovingly.
Indeed. Well, everyone's a young rocker to me, except for Biff Byford.
Shout out to Biff. Now that's
always,
dude. That's something we really need to make happen. And I was just telling, I was either telling Zeus or Nikki or someone. I was just telling about this. Like, even if I have to buy a tour to make it like I get to choose the bands, we're gonna make it happen. So we do a Saxon Crowbar tour at some point. Oh, and you know what else I said to Zeus was, I was like, you got to get Kirk on this Accept thing, because Wolf is doing this thing where they're re-recording.
Yeah, I think actually,
is Phil doing a song?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say
we can edit that out, but yeah. I said you got to get Kirk on that. You have to get Kirk on that, because they asked me, and I said that's more in Kirk's range. I forget which song, but I'll text you after.
Sure.
Let me just go to the Patreon here one more time before we get out of here. Sam Angeli, shout out to Jonathan Metis. Who else did I miss here? If I missed you, we'll get you on the next one. We got a bunch of episodes between now and Metal Fest that we're going to get out, and I am going to be back doing the podcast on a pretty regular schedule now that we're going to get this Hatebreed record done. One more for Andrew Case here. He says, I know you guys are so busy with so many amazing projects, so no real rush. I agree it needs to be bangers, but I do agree that you should all take the risk. So I support it all. Die hard. You guys are a force to be reckoned with. You have so many awesome projects and bands. Just don't lose your fire and don't burn out. We can't do without you both in music. I sound like a schoolgirl gushing over you rockers, LOL, but I'm passionate about what you guys do and mean to me. Okay, awesome. Enough. Well, thank you, Andrew. We appreciate it. I say it all the time. I don't tire from the positivity, and I will pay that forward too, because I was listening to some of these bands today that are playing on the Sunday, at Metal Fest, and unfortunately, I have bad news. Phil Rind called me, and Sacred Reich has to cancel Sunday at Metal Fest. But we're gonna get them at 2026. And I do have another huge announcement that's coming from actually a tour that I acquired part of, I should say. And we're going to be announcing that for July. So I said to Phil, like, hey, maybe we get Sacred Reich on a couple of these dates as a makeup, especially if one of the dates goes to the rave. But then I thought, you know what? Just this happened with Destruction. It happened with Marduk. It's going to happen at a festival.
Of course. You got a gazillion bands. Something's bound to happen.
Yeah. And there were bands that didn't get on the Sunday that really wanted to. So I started listening to some of them just to see, but we just don't have the budget. Like the budget is closed. Like we can't, it literally, I already have so much that I'm coming out of the pocket for that. I can't even if a band's like, oh, well, we'll play for $3,000 or $5,000. Like, and that's a low price for some of these bands. I'm like, I don't have it. Like I literally don't have it.
It's tapped out.
Yeah. But in doing so, I also have to listen to bands that are on the bill, because you want to see where this band is, the replacement band is going to fit in.
Right.
And I started listening, and I've heard most of these bands before, like Harm's Way's on there, Speed is on there, who are great. They just ripped it up at Coachella. It's an amazing moment for them and for hardcore. But also I went and I was listening to like, this band Tracheotomy was hard. They're playing early, get there early. Another band dropped off. This band Snuffed on Sight, who were really hard too, which the name is hard.
Yeah.
They were really good. I was bummed when they dropped off too, because now we're down 2 on the Sunday, and it's Guar and Arch Enemy and Dillinger, and we still have an incredible lineup.
Sure.
Shoot, now I forgot where I was going with this, because there was one band they were going to try to play for free. I forgot their name now. Whatever. I will talk about it on the next episode. But everybody, don't worry about Sacred Reich. We will figure it out, and we will get them at Milwaukee Metal Fest 2026. And who knows, Kirk? Now that you've been such a big part of the festival, and you had, your solo song on the compilation, and you played with Crowbar, and you played with Down, and you played with me at the pre-party, maybe we got to do Kingdom of Sorrow on 2026.
If I'm available, I'd be up for it.
I would do that, because that would be cool. That would be cool to get Charlie and Nikki and who would we get on bass? Who would you like to see on bass? I mean, should we get Lilker, and then we bust into some
Lilker? I saw him in Glasgow, him and his wife.
He's the best. I was just with him. I was just with him in LA. We rehearsed for SOD. So SOD tribute. Sorry.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe we get Lilker. And that would be so much fun.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Kirk, thank you for the time, and congrats on Ethereal Waves. I mean, the record is absolutely amazing. Go to martyrstore.net. You'll see there's a bunch of pre-orders. By the time you're hearing this, all the pre-orders will be up. And everybody who contributed, thank you so much. And we will see everybody hopefully at Milwaukee Metal Fest. Are you going to make it for the pre-party, do you think? Or can we get you in there on the Thursday?
I don't know yet because Peppers, I think.
You got to rehearse that day, right?
We probably have to rehearse. We're probably going to leave. We play Friday. So we're probably going to leave on Thursday because we're probably going to be rehearsing hopefully like Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I think because you have Down, Scour, who else do you have? Child Bite It or Nest or a couple
We got
of
Nest, we got Snafu, we got I Hate God.
Snafu. Okay. Well, because of all of those housecore bands and Down, I think we're just gonna have gear trucked up instead of everybody, trying to just use the back line at the festival or whatever, and everybody can kind of share stuff or whatever. Because we share, like, all the Crowbar and Down gear is the same shit anyway. COC rehearses in the same room when they need it. Nesta's actually rehearsed in there before, So it's like, whatever. So I think we're going to truck shit up, but we're going to probably have to fly on the Thursday, and then we play on Friday, so...
Okay. Well, everybody's super excited that you're going to be hanging on Saturday and signing, and we will add a tier, or we'll add one of the meet and greets to include your new solo album. As soon as we get the word that we're going to have the copies, I think we will we'll probably definitely have the CDs by then. So,
awesome.
but right now they can go to martyrstore.net and you're already selling a bunch of meet and greets for Saturday. People are excited to bring their copies of Dream in Motion and their Crowbar stuff and their Kingdom records. And we can't wait to have you. It's going to be a great hang, and we'll see everybody there.
Get
your tickets, therave.com/metalfest. And we'll do a follow-up with you.
Sure.
At some point, because I know we got to.
I mean, other than studio and shit like that, I mean, I don't, other than the next gig I have is Milwaukee Metal Fest. So
can't wait, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best weekend ever. May 15th through the 18th. Thanks again, Kirk. I love you, brother. And
love you too, brother. Thanks so much.
Talk to you later.
You got
Thanks,
it.
everybody from Patreon. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
We'll be back very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Quick little outro, everybody. If you want to hear some of Kirk's new album, Ethereal Waves, you can head on over to patreon.com/Jasta, and we'll post the private SoundCloud page now. But you can pre-order now over at martyrstore.net, and you can get a meet and greet with Kirk at Milwaukee Metal Fest. Make sure you come and see one of Down's only appearances in the Midwest this year, Friday, May 16th. And don't forget, one of the final Devin Townsend shows ever in the U.S. Well, indefinitely, as you heard in the intro. Big thanks to Devin for doing this festival. It's going to be a great time. Black Label Society, Exodus, Death Angel, and so many more. Pretty much all the meet and greets are selling out, so head on over to martyrstore.net after the podcast today. And also support all of our sponsors of the podcast and the festival. Thank you to Sumerian Records. You can pre-order the new Slaughter to Prevail Grizzly album, which is coming out July 18th over at SumerianRecords.com. Also, thank you to Blue Grape Music. Check out bluegrapemusic.com after the podcast today. Support Gridiron, who are going to be on the Summer Slaughter Tour with Hatebreed, Fugitive, Malevolence, and many more. And check out Heavy Hitter. They fucking rule. Hopefully, we'll get them on Milwaukee Metal Fest 2026. While I have you, support Reigning Phoenix Music. Big thanks to Reigning Phoenix Music. They are presenting the bar stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and they have INCITE on the upcoming Summer Slaughter Tour. Get the new INCITE album before it comes out. You can get it early if you pre-order. It's coming out August 25th. It's called Savage New Times. Go to reigningphoenixmusic.com. Use the code JASTA10. What was the other coupon code? Oh, yeah. bluegrapemusic.com. Use the code MMF25. Of course, I got to thank Copycats Media. I got to give a huge thanks to Nuclear Blast Records. They got so many great releases out now and coming out. Obviously, the new Machine Head. Obviously, the Gates to Hell. And Gates to Hell are playing Sunday at Milwaukee Metal Fest. Go to nuclearblast.com and you will see the other pre-orders. They got the new Nailed to Obscurity coming out on May 9th. And what else? Bunch of killer reissues. Halo Effect, Vinyl Fit for an Autopsy, Rob Zombie, Nightwish, and more. NuclearBlast.com when you finish the podcast today. All right, everybody. I love you so much. Thank you all for your support. It's great to see all the positivity. And like I said, Summer Slaughter tickets go on sale May 2nd. Maybe when you're hearing this, it's May 2nd or May 3rd. I think Michael's going to get it up right away. But we hope to see you out there, and this is just the beginning. Hopefully going to add, UK, Australia, West Coast, second leg. You never know. We're just getting it, off to the races now. Next show for me and Hatebreed is at Sonic Temple, all right? So I will see you there, and then after that, it's Milwaukee Metal Fest. Come to the pre-party. Get your tickets at therave.com/metalfest. All right, drink your coffee, do your push-ups, listen to Fit for an Autopsy, and I will be back very soon. Love you all. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Executive producers, AJ Lewis, John Hankus, Garrett Keeping, Nick Torito, JJ Hernandez, Jason Jarvis, Chris Larice, Larry Tooley, Nick Fowler, Daniel Bird, Adam Mecklenburg, Dallas Boland, Kyle Marg, Morgan Costner, Dominique Zimmer, Kenneth Moore, Benjamin Lee, Jake Olszewski, Mark Tagg, Niall Schollard, Kathy D'Ambrosio, Justin Stephen, Dan Sullivan, Jack Flanders, Mark Loikitz, Fernando Somoza, Andy Wilson, Jeffrey Kewen, Brian Underkoffler, Jay Liberston, Zachary Liberston, Katie Day, the Maniac Diehard, Robert Bouchaw, Jason Duran, Steve Deterting, Dan Ryan, Ethan Assault, Alex Queller, Emma Horgan, Clint Smith, Mike Horgan, Chad Longworth, Mark Horror-Armenta, Chris Winchester, Anthony Luzzi, Nathan Rex Madrid, Samuel Angeli, Chris Shea, Jacob Arensberg, Chad Green, Matthew Yankowskis, Jamie Kutcher, Stephen Helm, Andy, Jared DeWeese, Ryan Levson, Mike Murray, Jonathan Mettis.